Hello and welcome to TV 360 Conversation. Now, on this program, this is actually the maiden edition of the program. We would be discussing several issues, and the format is going to be very different. In fact, there is no host. I'm also part of the program. So, I have with me for this maiden edition of the program, Nelson Ekujimi, who is, of course, a political affairs analyst and a public affairs analyst as well. And on the conversation, as I said, we'll be discussing a wide range of topics. There's no host. This is just a conversation now between us. And Nelson, you're welcome to the maiden edition of this program.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Just give me your take on what you make and what you feel about this program that we've just created.
Well, I think I feel honored to be here because it's a program that I've also been interested, in batting, and to the glory of God, here we are today holding the maiden edition. So I can tell you categorically that I'm very, very happy.
So let's even dive into it. What's the first thing we're talking about? And I'll let you take it up.
Okay, I think the first thing we should be talking about today should be the governors and their deputies feud. We have seen it become a recurring decimal, in our democratic dispensation, and it is not, doing the image.
And it's like it's assuming a scary dimension.
Yes, and it's not doing the image of our democracy any good. It's an issue we need to look at, notwithstanding the fact that people could be, people could be getting their own, whipping from karma, like some of our people want to see. But the fact remains that so long as we are running a constitutional democracy, it behoves on us to ensure that every office or every structure along the line is divorced from personal squabbles that could arise in the course of, performing one's official function. We have seen it now in Edo State, where what is playing out, no matter how we want to look at it, is not, it's not doing our image any good, where a whole deputy governor can come to his office. This is a deputy governor who has a joint mandate. According to the constitution, from the people, coming to office and is logged out. Definitely, the people who will bear the brunt of such feud will be the people and not the governor, because the deputy governor is being paid from the taxpayers' fund. He's being entrusted with the taxpayers' responsibility. And so how anybody could feel that he or she, because he's a governor or because he's a president, is bigger than the constitution, to do that, it's something we must, as a people, sit down and really look into.
For me, it's really worrying. And because when you look at what is happening in Edo State, I consider it an embarrassment.
Absolutely. It's a national embarrassment.
A national embarrassment, yes. In the sense that, at some point you begin to ask yourself, is the deputy governor of a state a staff of the governor?
That is
for me, the deputy governor of a state is not the staff of the governor. So it's surprising that a governor would now direct that his deputy leaves his office, relocate the office of the deputy governor without even discussing with the deputy governor, without even telling him anything. Because the deputy governor is not a staff of the governor. The deputy governor, just as you said, has a joint mandate as the governor. For the governor to now order the relocation of the office of the deputy governor to somewhere outside of government house, I just can't imagine it.
And it's not only about relocating the deputy governor's office. It's about barring him from performing
his functions,
his official
because
functions.
This is a governor who sacked the media aides of
the deputy governor.
Yeah. He sacked them and said, look, the deputy governor, anytime he's organizing any events and wants coverage, should go to the Ministry of Information and use the people there. It's just unheard of. You look at this picture, for instance, you can imagine the deputy governor coming to his office and the gates are locked. The deputy governor cannot go into the office, and the deputy governor, from the phone call he made and from what he said there, that he put a call to the governor. The governor did not respond. The governor did not respond. And so he had to call some other people to talk to the governor to allow him access to his own office. Yes, we understand. At this time, the governor had already relocated the office. Well, he said he had relocated the office.
And even
but
as at
without
that,
even informing,
the deputy governor made it categorically clear that he has not received any communication in that regard.
Yes, exactly.
And what is playing out now was exactly what happened during the tenure of former President Olusegun Obasanjo and his vice president
Atiku Abubakar.
And it was the Supreme Court that told him that he doesn't have that powers. And that was how Atiku Abubakar returned back to office. So I think no matter what could have transpired between them, it behoves on Nigerian people to come out, because the humiliation, the embarrassment is not to the governor. It's to the people of Edo State and Nigerians. Because this is our democracy. And sadly, the most painful aspect for some of us is that the greatest beneficiaries of our democratic system today are people who never lifted a finger in ensuring that we bet this democracy. We lost lives and limbs. People, till today, some people are still missing in the struggle to enthrone this democracy.
And let me just say this. I can understand, you hear some people say, look, this serves the deputy governor right, that, that he betrayed
their godfather.
That's Adams Oshomole, and that, well, this is like payback time. This is like karma catching up with him and all of that. Look, I understand all of that.
Those are sentiments.
All of those political sentiments now, but what is right and what is wrong is wrong.
Absolutely.
In this case, officially speaking, what exactly does the Constitution say about the position of the deputy governor? Is he a staff of the governor? Is he just an appendage, if you like, as we always say? The truth is that if anything happens to the governor today, the deputy governor automatically becomes the governor. And there's no way the governor could have contested and won election
without a deputy governor on his ticket. The Constitution does not allow it.
So it then baffles me that, we're talking about mature men here. Why would a mature man, the governor, even behave in this manner?
Yes.
Because I can understand that.
As you see, the greatest tragedy that has exposed itself to us now is that we have people who have been saddled with responsibility, but who continue to exhibit behaviors that is not responsible. Because you expect a governor to have been tutored, to have been lectured on what is expected of a governor. And for you to resort to this, if you permit me to use the word, I could call this prank. But like we say, this is a very expensive prank, because the deputy governor is a custodian of a mandate derived from the Constitution of Nigeria. And like you have read, the governor never got into office and employed the deputy governor. No! The Constitution says in aspiring for that position, you have a deputy governor. And you both came into the office by that ticket. And even the Constitution even stipulates how the governor or the deputy governor can be removed from office. So it is not for the governor to just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and say, oh, you see, I had a bad dream yesterday night. The deputy governor was running after me. I have to make sure I kick him out. No.
And what I find very childish in the whole thing is, at the other time we saw what happened when the deputy governor and the governor himself attended an event. The deputy governor wanted to approach the governor.
To exchange pleasantries.
Yes, exactly. The governor saw the deputy. He saw him, even though he would later deny that he didn't know what was what actually transpired.
Nobody can say
he
that.
Saw the deputy. He saw that the DSS
security operative
DSS personnel prevented
blocked
the
him,
deputy from meeting with the governor. And for me, the problem with all of this is that when it happens and nothing happens, these governors get away with it, other governors would draw inspiration from that. Obasanjo did it to his deputy, Atiku Abubakar, and nothing happened. That's why we're seeing this. Now we're seeing a similar thing as well in Ondo State, which if you ask me to, it's rather unfortunate. And this is all about politics. And you look at that of Edo State, of course, we know it's directly connected to the ambition of the deputy governor, that he wants to contest for the next election. He wants to succeed the governor. But if you ask me, look,
But
it's
not
okay
a
to
crime.
have. It's not a crime to have an ambition. So why should the deputy governor be punished officially
Because
for
he
having
has
that
an
ambition?
because
The governor has every right to say, look, I don't want you to succeed me. I'm not going to support you. And let it end there. You don't now begin to maltreat your deputy governor. You don't now begin to use extra
deprive him
constitutional
of the
means
rights
to deprive it exactly
of the rights of his office.
It's so embarrassing. It's uncalled for. And then we heard the governor the other time say, I'm talking about Governor Baseki now, say that the deputy governor was planning to defect to another political party.
Is that a constitutional
and
issue?
in any case, we understand that some people intervened and they tried to resolve this, and so the deputy governor had to withdraw the case he filed at the court. He withdrew that case, but then we can see that the governor himself has not shifted ground at all.
Absolutely.
And talking about Ondo State, you clearly can see that it's like the governor of Ondo State is drawing
taking a
inspiration
cue from Obaseki's neighbor.
Yes,
they are both neighbors.
And from what I am hearing, this is just the beginning of it. It's probably going to it's going to get dirtier. Not quite long ago, the story was out there, and I understand that story came from the other side, that the deputy governor had resigned. Until the deputy governor came out to say he had not resigned, we even understand that he had been asked to resign, and he said he's not going to do so. And then you saw what the governor did, sacking the aides of the deputy governor in Ondo State.
I think this calls to question why, as Nigerians, we must sit down again and look at our democracy. We cannot afford to allow people to assault our collective sensibility. You talk about the Ondo State issue. If the deputy governor wants to aspire for an office, it is not within the right of the governor. We have all been complaining about God. It's not within the right of the governor to say, you must succeed me. Even if the governor wants the deputy governor, he still has to go and test his popularity with the people at the polls. Exactly. So I think it is time for us to sit down and call a spade a spade. That look, the overbearing conduct of governors in our democracy is a threat to sustenance of our democracy. It's an embarrassment. Governors' roles are outlined in the Constitution. And the role of a deputy governor, even though he's a deputy, is also outlined. So we must come out and say enough is enough. We will not continue to allow deputy governor governors treat the office of a deputy governor as a mere staff of the governor. The Constitution does not give you that right to do. So I think this conduct that we have seen is something that if we as the people don't come out and start talking about it, dispassionately and objectively, we could be, undermining the peace and security of our state. Because as we are today, you can be rest assured that when these governors are all out against their deputies, then the act of governance suffers.
And that's what we have seen in Ondo State over this period when the governor was away.
Yeah.
Because we understand at some point even ESCO meetings could not be called by the deputy governor.
Who was the acting governor.
Even if he called the ESCO meeting, some other so-called powerful commissioners would not attend. Even when they do, nothing gets done. And you could clearly tell, you look at Ondo State, you could clearly tell that for the period that the governor was away on medical leave, nothing actually happened in that state. Even though the governor actually handed over power officially to him, the truth is that the deputy governor wielded no power as such.
Absolutely. There was no, it was like the governor took the keys of the government.
He wielded no power as such. And of course, people kept feeding the governor with information and all that. Look, there's no doubt at all that, look, this deputy governor has ambition. He definitely would want to run. He wants to succeed the governor. But of course, that is not a crime. There's nothing wrong with that. People should not be punished.
For having ambition within the confines of the law.
And not even a deputy governor.
Even an ordinary citizen. Nobody should be punished so long as your ambition does not violate the laws of the land. So for me, I think we need to seek more.
This accusation that he was praying for, like he didn't see Akeredolu coming back, That he
Is
didn't
it
see
God?
Akeredolu coming
The
back.
question we should ask,
you know,
the governor coming back, is it by the making of his deputy or those who wish him dead? No. So I think these childish pranks, if I will use that word, is unacceptable in our democracy.
And for me,
we must seek constitutional protection for every office in our, in our democracy, such that people must recognize that they have their limits. Nobody is a governor general in Nigeria. You are just a governor, and your role has been, stipulated by the constitution.
And if anyone should understand that better, it should be
a legal man,
Akeredolu.
Even without
a senior advocate of Nigeria, a former president of the NBA, he should understand this better.
Even without being a legal mind, one expects that immediately you get to that exalted office, everything about you must be executive. You must not conduct yourself or utter statements, that undermines that office. Because that office represents the totality of the will of the people of that state.
Nelson, let's just take a short break so that when we come back, I think we should discuss the Mohbad controversy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
I agree.
the sad and tragic death of that young artist. So we'll take a short break and we will come back with this conversation.
Corruption not in my country.
Cut. All right. What's your name again? Kemi?
Yes, sir.
Good. Are you ready for us for next week?
Yes, sir.
Next.
No, sir. No.
What? Look, what we need here is one who can speak fluent English. Give her a chance.
I need a angel to hold me. Hold me, my beautiful angel.
Cut! It is Angel, not Angel. Please, I'm done with you. Excuse us. Kemi was far better.
It's not about our rendition. It's not about our performance here. By the time she and her friends join us in our hotel rooms, you will know how far.
Can I have her phone?
She has a robust profile.
Real robust profile. I do not undercut professional ethics. It is an act of corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Welcome back, and if you just joined us, you're watching The Conversation, where we're just having a conversation, and I'm having a conversation with Nelson Ekujimi, and let me just say this is a conversation between both of us, so there's no host, there's no anchor, so to speak, so we're just having a chit-chat, and Nelson, honestly, the controversy surrounding the death of Mohbad, that's Ilerioluwa Aloba. It's really unfortunate, and when I look at the social media and I see some of the reactions I see, I shudder, and I'm just baffled. I'm baffled that that people who should know better, even people who are educated and should know better, continue to make wild allegations, wild allegations and assumptions and all of that, to the extent of saying this individual killed
without any verifiable
evidence, nothing at all. It's really baffling, and sometimes I wonder how we get these things wrong, because this involves death. It involves death. Anything could have caused the death of this young person. We do not know.
Yes, as much as we are saddened by the untimely death of this young man who was about 27 years of age, nobody prays that anybody should go at that age. We expect that, one should live long. We commiserate, with his immediate and extended families as well as his friends. But in doing that, we must admonish ourselves that the issues raised by his death are absolutely unnecessary. This is a country governed by laws. And if anybody has died, even the laws of Lagos State, makes it mandatory for an autopsy to be conducted before burial. So one is shocked to hear that the father went ahead and buried the young man without, allowing the body to go through an autopsy.
Well, the father has given an excuse for that. I mean, he said, that in the Yoruba custom, the father does not keep a child in the mortuary. That's a dead child now in the mortuary.
But in observing a custom, you should not violate the laws of the land.
I thought as much. I thought so. I thought so as well, because for me there are several questions hanging on the death of this young man.
Yeah.
Several questions. And these are questions that I think people should actually ask rather than make wild allegations. When this story first broke, the first question I asked is, how did he die? How did he die?
Nobody can explain that.
Nobody can explain. What were the circumstances that led to his death? People don't just drop and die. I mean, something must have led. And nobody has bothered to ask.
There have been
first thing you hear is,
allegations.
that person killed him, that person.
Yes.
So how did he die? What was the cause of death?
Cause of death. I'll give
was
you,
there an autopsy? Several questions.
I'll give you a vivid instance of, explanation to this. I was witness to a panel of inquiry into an alleged death. And when the relative of the person came and said, my person died, the first question they asked him that, do you have a police report? He said no. Do you have an autopsy report? He said no. Do you have a death certificate? He said no. So I wonder which society will allow such a person, to take the collective people's, sensibilities for a ride. Because if somebody has died, common sense dictates that you ask, what is the cause of death? And the only person that can identify the cause of death is a medical practitioner. And the medical practitioner will not identify cause of death by just looking at the corpse. And examination called autopsy has to be performed. So I think what we have seen at play is that people have politicized it. People have, turned into something for interest other than, what the guy lived and died for. Because a young man has died, an autopsy has not been conducted. If people say, he was threatened. If somebody was threatened, is threats the same thing as death? Yes. Is it linked to the death? And again, one is very happy that the Lagos State Police Command has waded into the issue. And
the governor has even asked the DSS.
So I wonder why they are still raising the rooftop over this issue. We are people who are governed by laws, and it behoves on us as even critical thinkers to put on our thinking cap. When anything happens, we should ask questions. We should not behave like lower animals that once anybody says this is the way to go, we just follow. No, absolutely not. We are human beings. And that is why in the Hausa culture, we have this saying that to lead 100 cows, you need just a stick. But to lead 5 human beings, you need 5 different sticks.
And we've seen protests all across.
Yes, we have seen protests,
especially in the southwest of the country. We've seen people protesting, demanding justice. Yes, I'm happy people are demanding justice, but the whole idea of demanding justice itself, if you ask me, if you ask me, connotes that somebody caused the death. I mean, supposing at the end of the day, after all of this investigation, it was discovered that, look, nobody killed him, and that this young man died probably as a result of
maybe
natural causes
or any other cause
all of that.
That is not linked to those.
So when I see protests like this, I mean, you clearly, for me, what it tells me is that these protests are the protest you're seeing is influenced by
emotions.
What we have seen on social media, where we've seen wild allegations, leveled against some individuals.
We won't mention names. Yes, absolutely.
Leveled against individuals that they actually killed him and all of that. But I think I can understand the emotions, I can understand the sentiments, but I think we should be more sensible than this. But I'm happy that the police has stepped in. I have no doubt at all that the police will be able to crack this case as quickly as possible. There are several questions that are begging for answers.
Absolutely.
We want to know how this young man died. what was the cause of
The
the death.
immediate and remote
The
cause
immediate
of
and
his
remote
cause
cause.
of his death, and what
Exactly, we
caused
want
his
to
death.
know that. We want to know why, for instance, we're hearing stories, for instance, that the father was even going to bury him the night he died, and a traditional chief actually prevented that
Prevented
from
him from
happening
doing that.
in Ikorodu. So why the rush to even bury him and all of that?
No, there are too
You know,
many. There are too many questions.
But
require-
what I think is not right, is to sit down and say, that man killed him. That person killed him.
Absolutely.
It just might not be so.
It doesn't show. It doesn't. There's no
it
logic
it just
and
doesn't add up
rationality in
at
it.
all.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't
Because
add up.
an autopsy has the body is going to be exhumed. Now you have arrived at a conclusion. In fact, some persons have even taken it upon themselves to call for the arrest. And I'm like, arrest for what? Are you the investigator? You sit down in the confines of your home just because you have access to a phone and data, and you concoct. What sort of society are we? This is a society that, you know, when you look at this society at times, one feels very sad that we have degenerated. Look at the issue of the Alu 4, the University of Port Harcourt students that were killed in the Alu village. Just because somebody called them a thief, people didn't ask any question.
Exactly.
They just wasted those words, only for them
lynched them.
to realize later that those boys were not thieves. That somebody was owing them. They went to the debtor. Somebody was owing one of them, and they went to the debtor to retrieve
recover their money.
Recover their money, and that one shouted, "Ole, ole, thief." So, is it that as a people, there's no difference between us and animals?
Honestly,
I disagree.
It's a huge concern for me. But as I said, I'm very happy that the authorities have waded into this. Of course, at the end of the investigation,
Yes.
whatever is revealed, if someone was actually responsible, I believe they will be arrested.
And
Arrest will be made, and all of that.
We need to also educate our people that the justice we are demanding for is not only justice for Mohbad, it's justice for the society as well. That if at the end of the day it is found that somebody is involved in his death, then that person should face the music.
Exactly.
That's justice for the society. So people should not just sit in the confines of their home and be flaming up tension.
Exactly.
Oh, X killed him. Y killed him. Do you have
And
proof?
you know what? You may not like X. You may not
Yes.
like his. You may not like what he does and all of that. But to go on to allege that they are responsible for the death of someone, that's too heavy.
It's too heavy,
Especially when you
honestly.
haven't got a
It's
proof.
dangerous for any society.
It's very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous. Nelson, I think we just have to draw the curtain.
Yes, we
here
have
on
to
this
draw
conversation.
the curtain today.
And it's
been an exciting
yes,
discussion.
Yes,
you know.
and obviously we're definitely going to continue with this.
Absolutely.
And
other issues.
And bring on more people to join us on the table here.
Yes.
So we thank you very much for joining us on this maiden edition of the show. We'll be back again next week with the conversation on TV 360. Bye-bye.